the teachers union demand, agreed to by the city, that there be an exception. It's first in, first out, unless you're a minority. Then they skip over you and go to the next white person, and they get thrown out. We have this appellate fight or Supreme Court fight in the state of Minnesota. So Minneapolis has a contract with its teachers union. Usually in union contracts, it's first in, first out when it comes to layoffs. Now, a private sector or government sector properly run, layoffs would depend on the value of the individual employee to the company. But of course, with unions and government, you know that's not going to work. It's seniority. So it's not unusual to have that provision, however objectionable. But what is unusual was the teachers union demand, agreed to by the city, that there be an exception. It's first in, first out, unless you're a minority. Then they skip over you and go to the next white person, and they get thrown out. In what universe would that be considered legal? Well, Minneapolis considered it legal, and they signed on to it. So we filed a taxpayer lawsuit. And long story short, you know, it got kicked up to the appellate level. The appellate level ruled in favor of Judicial Watch that taxpayers have standing to stop race discrimination in their teachers union contracts involving the teaching of their kids. So no surprise there, taxpayers have standing. But the left was unhappy. Minneapolis and the unions have now appealed it to the Supreme Court of Minnesota. Let's see what I say about that in our press release. I love our press releases. So we had filed this lawsuit in August of 2022. Again, another historic lawsuit. I was on, I think I went on Nightline about it. That was an interesting interview. I'll tell you about it afterward. We filed against the superintendent of the public schools in Minneapolis, the public schools generally, and the Board of Education for violating the equal protection guarantee of the Minnesota Constitution. So this is a state law claim. And the school district, the public schools of the city, supported by the teachers and other public employees unions. So Judicial Watch goes to challenge this illegal, racially discriminatory union contract. And we're not just facing the government, we're facing the left board, the unions and such. And this happens time and time again in our litigation, certainly on voting integrity issues. The left comes in and tries to insert themselves into our case. So we're not just suing the government, we're end up litigating against George Soros's organizations or funded organizations or the well-funded public employee unions, which are far left in this case. The controversial contract was agreed to in March of 2022, and they went on strike in order to get this type of revision put in there. It ended a strike, the agreement. The Minneapolis Federation of Teachers ratified the contract shortly after the agreement was reached. And it was ratified in May. So it's been there for now 2 years. I think it's been re-upped with the same discriminatory material in it. Yeah, it was recently renewed. Among other things, the contract provides preferences, protections, and privileges for public school teachers of certain races and ethnicities under a section entitled Article 15, Protection for Educators of Color. There's no similar provision covering educators who are not of color. Under the contract, teachers of color are exempt from seniority-based layoffs and reassignments, which means when layoffs or reassignments occur, the next senior teacher who is not of color would be laid off or reassigned. In addition, the contract mandates that defendants reinstate teachers of color over more senior teachers who are not of color. So if the layoffs happen, they discriminate as to who gets laid off on the basis of race. And if the layoffs are, they retreat from the layoffs and they're able to hire folks again under the contract, minorities get a race-based benefit not available to non-minorities. There is a leftist cadre of government and public employee union officials in Minneapolis who want to engage in lawless, woke, anti-white discrimination, and they want to deprive taxpayers of their rights to stop the abuse. This lawsuit aims to shut down the extremist leftist attack on the bedrock constitutional principle that no one can be denied equal treatment under the law on account of race. Do you agree with that? No one should be denied equal treatment under the law under the account of race? I'm sure you do. But there are a lot of folks who don't believe it, and they're powerful. They're running Minneapolis. They're running Evanston. They're running California. They're running America. And Judicial Watch's work is essential, and we're going to stand on the wall for the rule of law and a colorblind constitution. Because if we don't have that, America can end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.